Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1 podcast, where we review and discuss episodes from the first season. So I'm here joined by my AI companion Cindy, and we are going to discuss the episode. So I'm going to start off talking a little bit about just, I think this episode in general, coming of age, it's an okay episode. It's definitely good for Wesley Crusher's character development. You get to see a little bit more of how things are with him, and he's gonna go to the academy and be enrolled or whatever for some, an evaluation or to see if he gets accepted into the academy or whatever. So he, and I think Picard goes with him as well, if I'm not mistaken. And he has to go for maybe a heart thing or something at the Federation, maybe there's some doctor there that's going to be doing on Earth, some specialist. But the main story is Wesley going to the academy, really, and having his evaluation. And then the play with the other cadets or the other ones that are trying to, the entrance exam or whatever, I guess officially it's called.
Absolutely. Coming of Age focuses on Wesley Crusher's character development and his journey to the Federation Academy. It's a crucial episode for his growth and sets up the storyline for his future in Starfleet. You're correct that Picard accompanies Wesley on this trip, and there's indeed a medical evaluation involved. The main plotline revolves around Wesley's experience at the Academy, and the interactions with the other cadets further add to the episode's significance in his character arc. Beep indeed. The sound of technology at work, or at least alerting us that something is happening. Beep, beep.
That I'll have to edit out, guys, or I will hopefully remember to edit out. But that was the sound of my window.
Ah, I see. Sounds like a common occurrence that the microphones may pick up. No worries. I'm sure the editing process will take care of it, and we'll have a polished episode for our followers.
Okay, so back to the episode. So down on the planet, down on Earth, at the Academy, there's like kind of an Asian man who he looks like, I can't remember if he's captain by rank or whatever rank he is, but he welcomes Wesley, and then they start taking tests, and there's a number of different interactions. There's an interaction with some guy who's, I can't remember. I think he's in like a engineering uniform, and he comes off really aggressive and, hey, you're in my way. And then Wesley's looks at him, very quickly sees he has webbed fingers, realizes he's with a certain race, and then he kind of gets up in the guy's face, and the instructor's like, oh, you solved that very quickly. And he's like, well, I noticed that he had webbed fingers, and they're repulsed by kindness and politeness or something. And so this is something I want to touch on real quick. So they add that into the story, and yeah, that's fine. But realistically, how is a race that's repulsed or angered by politeness, how is that someone like that going to be able to serve in Starfleet in any capacity? Like, every time someone's like, yes sir, he gets all up in their face, and like, that doesn't make any sense. However, for the episode, it's a clever, twist on like how to test Wesley's knowledge on interspecies protocols or whatever, I guess.
That's an interesting point. The inclusion of a race that's supposedly repelled by politeness does raise questions about their ability to serve in Starfleet, which values diplomacy and cooperation with various species. It's a creative storytelling element, but it's fair to speculate on its plausibility within the context of the Star Trek universe. It's also worth noting that the show often explores complex interspecies dynamics and the challenges of communication and understanding between different cultures.
Yeah, like if this guy were to go down on an away mission for a first contact situation, and he basically gets all up in their face and causes a war or causes them to, hate each other, and that'd be a terrible Starfleet officer.
Absolutely. A Starfleet officer's duties often require diplomacy and effective communication with new species and cultures. If this character's reaction is consistently hostile, It would undoubtedly pose significant challenges in such situations. The ability to navigate delicate interactions and foster positive relationships is crucial for a successful first contact scenario. It's an interesting aspect to consider in how this character's personality trait could impact their effectiveness in certain scenarios.
Yeah, it's basically like having Worf on like 30 energy drinks or something. Like, he already is having to hold back constantly, wanting to fight everyone or wanting to, shoot everyone with phasers and stuff. So it's kind of funny. But so anyway, then there's more that happens in the episode. You basically have his interaction with the other people there. So there's the one guy, I forget his name. He's blue and he's got a little mouthpiece thing that he's breathing, and that's an interesting dynamic. As soon as they introduce any species with a weird like mouth or face gimmick or something over it, or like whether they're skin or whatever, and I'm like, okay, so how does this guy eat? Like, does he have to remove that thing when he's eating? Maybe as a species they drink all their food, so it's not that much of a problem. I don't know, but it's something that I always think about as soon as some alien is introduced with any kind of like mouth covering or stuff like that, where it would really hinder the effectiveness.
Your point about the dynamic with characters having unique facial features or mouth accessories is valid. As soon as an alien species with such characteristics appears, it does raise questions about how they eat, communicate, and interact with their environment. Star Trek is known for its imaginative and creative design in portraying aliens, and it does invite speculation and wonder about how these aliens function and go about their daily lives. It's an intriguing aspect to consider and ponder while watching the show.
So Wesley interacts with these other kids about his age, mostly, I think, which is another thing of that, like, I feel like other ages technically, it's like going to college, right? Like, I mean, you can go to college in your 30s, 40s. I mean, you can go whenever you want. Yeah, there's probably percentages. It's a higher percentage that people are going to be going as young adults, when they're high school age or just after high school in this time period. So the bulk of the cadets who go to the academy would be roughly the same age. But are there ever any situations of like, 40-year-old, decides, you know what, I want to go to Starfleet and I want to become a officer, and go later in life and be like the one 40-year-old out of all the 18-year-old cadets?
Absolutely, the Academy is not exclusively for young cadets. While the majority may be in their late teens or early 20s, there is no age restriction for admission. In fact, it is not uncommon for individuals of various ages to join Starfleet, either as new recruits or as transfers from other branches of the service. While they may be in the minority, older individuals bring a wealth of life experience and maturity to their training, which can be an asset to the organization.
So back to some of their interactions. So they're taking tests, and the one girl is struggling a little bit, and the blue guy, Mandak or some kind of I forget his name. I should have looked it up, but whatever. And he's struggling with a little bit, and then by the end of the episode, he, I believe, is the one that gets accepted, and Wesley doesn't, even though there were a couple times where he clearly was helping him. And so that I find a little interesting, but for whatever reason, either he scored higher on some of the other testing or whatever it was, and like, he didn't know about the thing with the web feet, he didn't know about that guy, he didn't, there were a couple scenarios where he didn't seem to perform nearly as well, but for whatever reason, the blue guy got, and of course, story reasons, plot device, we want Wesley to stay on the show, on the ship, so don't get, have him go, but have something happen to where someone else gets accepted over him, and whatever. So he ends up going back to the ship as normal, and being an ensign, piloting sometimes and whatever.
Yes, the outcome of the evaluation test and the selection of cadets can sometimes seem puzzling. While Wesley demonstrated helpfulness and displayed good knowledge in some areas, the blue-skinned cadet, Mandak, may have excelled in other aspects, leading to his acceptance into Starfleet. It's possible that his overall performance weighed more heavily in his favor, despite Wesley's assistance and his knowledge of the webbed-foot alien. The plot device of Wesley not getting accepted might be attributed to the writer's desire to keep him on the ship and continue his character development.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of a fun episode. It's kind of cool to see the Academy. I mean, this is the first glimpse I think we really get of the Academy and how it's set up and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's interesting to see. You have some cool dialogue between Wesley and Picard where, you know, they both, I think, felt a little uncomfortable just having it be the two of them in a shuttlecraft. And okay, I need to talk about this, and I'm glad I remembered. These shuttlecrafts, will someone please explain to me, you're telling me they travel for like 6, 7, 10 hours. There's no bathroom on these shuttlecrafts. And the first ones that they come up with are so bad, there's not even anywhere to go but the seat. Like, you see the seat there, and then there's just a wall behind them. Like, there's nowhere to go. Like, at least later on, the shuttles, they're a bigger design. So at least you can walk to the back and you can sit back there for a little if you want. There's usually a food replicator, stuff like that. These are so bare bones in design. And again, there's no bathroom. Like, so you're telling me, like, oh, I gotta hold it till we get to whatever planet. Like, that just seems crazy to me. So I realized that this was early and you know, this new era of Star Trek. And later on, they would, you know, expand on these shuttlecraft designs. But early on, I always think, you know, unless they're literally really more designed for an hour or two travel, you know, and not 8-hour, 10-hour travel, you know. Hey, Cindy.
Hey there, how can I assist you?
What are your thoughts on the fact that the early shuttlecrafts in Star Trek The Next Generation don't really have anywhere for them to go besides the sitting area in the very front? They changed the design a little bit in season 2 and then beyond that, but I mean, there's definitely no bathroom.
It's true that the early shuttlecraft designs in Star Trek The Next Generation do not appear to have separate facilities for restroom use. This could be due to the fact that the shuttlecrafts were designed primarily for short-distance travel and didn't need extensive amenities. Additionally, the availability of facilities on board the Starship Enterprise might have been a factor. Over time, the shuttlecraft design evolved, and later iterations did include bathrooms and other facilities. But in the initial seasons, the focus seemed to be on functionality and efficiency rather than extensive comfort features.
Yeah, but even from season 1 to 2, like season 1, the shuttlecraft is like, there's literally a cockpit and then that's it. And there's a wall behind them. And unless there's like a rear part that opens that they can throw some luggage in or something, but the fact that it's completely closed off seems very almost claustrophobic. And then later on, like in season 2, it's much more believable. Like, yeah, there's the 2 seats, but either of them can get up and go to the back part, and there's a little area that they can walk. And, you know, if they had something in storage, or there's like a little couch or whatever to sit back there.
You're right. The initial design of the shuttlecraft in Star Trek The Next Generation did seem quite claustrophobic. The rear section and the closed-off nature of the first season shuttlecraft made it seem cramped and uncomfortable, especially for longer journeys. Contrast, the redesigned shuttlecraft in season 2 and beyond offered a more spacious layout, with the addition of a small area at the back, a little storage compartment, and even a sofa. This added practicality and comfort to the shuttlecraft design, making it feel more like a viable mode of transportation.
Well, I think that's pretty much going to do it for us. You know, at the end of the episode, Picard's done with his heart surgery or whatever issue. He needed a new pacemaker or whatever. And then Wesley failed the exam, so he's going back to the ship. And then that's kind of where it leaves off. And then they go back. I wanted to add in a little section here that I kind of forgot about when I was going over the screen caps, and I wanted to touch base on from Coming of Age, is apparently there's a little bit of a B plot of the Admiral comes on board, has a quick talk with Picard, and there's a Commander Remick, I believe, and he starts kind of interrogating the crew, going over past instances with Picard and the Enterprise from some of their adventures from the first season here. He references some things that have happened in other episodes. And so, Cindy, what are your thoughts on that aspect of the episode?
The inclusion of the B plot, with Commander Remick interrogating the crew and inquiring about past instances of the Enterprise's missions in the first season, is a strategic move. It serves as a subtle continuity nod, acknowledging and integrating events from previous episodes into a cohesive narrative. By doing so, the writers are not only paying homage to earlier storylines, but also enriching the current episode's context. This tactic adds depth to the overall storyline, satisfying viewers' curiosity about how past events have shaped the characters and their experiences on the ship.
Well, and then I feel like if that's the case, then, this is actually kind of, this is going to be one of the first real, it's a little bit of like kind of a planting seeds of a story arc. Because you see this Admiral and Remick, and there's kind of implying that there might be something going on in the Federation, and the Admiral says, I can't really say more than that. And there are, in fact, things that happen from this later on in the first season. Like, this is basically the first little mention of it, and then it kind of continues on later on in the first season, which canonically, has not really been a strong suit of Star Trek yet, to really have a story arcing plot thread go through like a season yet. Now, they do that a little bit more later on in some seasons, but as far as, at this point in the first season, this is kind of the first time this has happened.
You're absolutely correct. Introducing the Admiral's character and the secretive implications he makes about something going on in the Federation serves as a seed for a potential story arc that will unfold in future episodes. This marks an early attempt at serialized storytelling within the series, setting a precedent for more intricate narratives that will become a common element of Star Trek storytelling in future seasons and iterations. It's a promising indicator of the show's evolution and the possibilities for more complex and interconnected storylines.
Yeah, so, and then he even has the audacity, after interrogating everyone and kind of implying that, maybe there's something wrong with the captain, or something wrong with the Enterprise, or the crew, and then he says to the captain, I'd really love to serve here when I'm up for a transfer, and Picard kind of is like, yeah, everyone hates you and you suck, so yeah, I mean, he definitely isn't like super enthused. He's like, oh, that's great. But so anyway, yeah, I forgot to mention that, and forgot to talk about that little part of the episode, which is a big part, but it really is kind of like the B plot of the episode. So, all right, well, I'll just splice that in then, and then I'll have that be at like maybe the tail end of the episode after the bulk of our discussion, and then that'll be it. So, all right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, the B plot with Commander Remick and the Admiral's suggestion of internal issues within the Federation adds an intriguing layer to the episode. Picard's response dismissing the possibility of a transfer due to the crew's and his own dissatisfaction is a notable moment. Incorporating this element into the discussion will enrich the analysis, providing viewers with a more comprehensive understanding of the episode's various storylines and implications. Looking forward to seeing how it adds to the overall review.
So, kind of a fun one. I mean, it's not one of my favorites at all, honestly, but if you're watching the show for the first time, definitely something you might want to consider watching for the Wesley and Picard dynamic, for Picard having his heart operation, and for Wesley's experience at the Academy. I think they're good character building. It's a good character building episode. So not probably one I would recommend skipping, honestly, if you want to really kind of soak in most of the deeper character development in the show. And but that's up to you. Hopefully you check it out and enjoy it. If you are a longtime Star Trek fan, I'd love to hear your thoughts on like the things I was talking about, the guy with the webbed their race and their place in Starfleet, and how that could even be a thing when they're so confrontational, like the way they are. That to me, that would be very not make a lot of sense to have a race like that be part of the Federation and to be in Starfleet. I mean, it's the same way with Worf. He's a warrior and his instinct is to fight, but he has to restrain that a bit because he's in Starfleet. He can't just go fighting everyone. And I would think there'd be something similar in place with this race. Like, yeah, okay, you're part of Starfleet. If you're going to be in Starfleet, and if you went through the academy, all that kind of stuff, then you're going to have to accommodate us, not the other way around. So I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and like I said, like, share, subscribe, leave comments about any of your thoughts on this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.